Family Theater presents Loretta Young, Joe Stafford, John Charles Thomas, Marina Cochetts, and James Alexander in The Treasury of Holmes. From Hollywood, the Mutual Network, in cooperation with Family Theater, presents The Treasury of Holmes with Loretta Young, Joe Stafford, John Charles Thomas, Marina Cochetts, and James Alexander. This is Family Theater's 10th anniversary, the beginning of its 11th year on the air. In the past 10 years, Hollywood's outstanding stars have given of their time and services to make successful Family Theater. No one has done more for Family Theater than the star of tonight's program. Our program tonight has a special dedication to Holmes Everywhere. Now, to make that dedication, as she did on Family Theater's initial broadcast, Miss Loretta Young.
Of course, it's no news to us Americans that our great and beloved country is the hope or the fear of every other country in the world today. The hope, because she's a living, functioning promise to all freedom-loving but oppressed peoples. The hope, because security and strength is possible to them in a government conceived and dedicated to the protection and perseverance of man's God-given rights. With over half the peoples of the world under a yoke of oppression, the strength of America is today the strongest bulwark of freedom. What is this strength? Where does it come from? From the great steel mills in Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Fontana. From the automobiles and refrigerators and tanks from Detroit, South Bend, Duluth. From the expanse of wheat fields that seem to ebb and flow like a great ocean in our fertile Midwestern plains. From the rich black oil that streams from the wells of Houston, Tulsa, and Signal Hill. From the troops, ships, and aircraft that American ingenuity has proved it can muster in a given period of time. These things are strength, all right. Natural resources, industry, the right use of God's creatures in man's lawful needs. They are good things, links in the chain of strength that is America. But her hope of survival lies not here so much as in a place which is much closer to us. A place of which Americans have been singing in this typical way throughout most of the years of her existence. Home.
Mid pleasures and palaces, though we may roam, be it ever so humble, there's no place like home. A charm from the skies seems to hallow us there, which see through the world is ne'er met with elsewhere. An exile There's no place like home. There's no place like home.
There's a wonderful phase of our national life that delights all Americans, from the age of 3 to 10. It's about the days when you couldn't go house hunting with the aid of the want ads or the real estate brokers. The young and restless, the seeking, striving, progressive spirit of America is strong in us still. If you don't believe it, just try to switch off that television when a Western is on. Or just try to get down your own street tomorrow morning without being held up by a miniature Hopalong Cassidy, Buck Jones, or Tim McCoy. Oh, it's bred in us, this love of the open, this thrill of pioneering and discovery. It's the period of our history we call Westering, the settling of America by men and women of great faith and simple wisdom. It is to them we can trace another source of our strength as a nation, a toughness of moral fiber, a strength of the spirit as well as a strength of blood and bone.
It's sun up, Sarah. You ready?
Henry Simmons, you know I'm ready. Has there ever been a morning when you haven't said that?
Well, put the kids up then. Let's get going.
All right, Madeline, up you go.
Get up there, Pete. Molly, Zeph, Dolly, come on. Come on. Today's the big day. Today we choose our future home. Well, Sally, what do you think? If this suits you, the Simmons have a new address. What do you say? Land enough for us and several generations of us. What do you think?
I'm thinking, Henry.
Well?
My father used to say there was 3 rules for picking out a home.
Yeah? Name 'em.
They don't none of them apply here.
I'd like to hear 'em just the same.
First rule, he says, was pick a home inside of a church steeple, because God comes first. Then make certain there's a schoolhouse nearabouts. Third's most people's first rule, water.
Well, all we have now is the water. That's a fair to a mile away, looks from here. But I can ditch it in nicely come time.
What about the church steeple, the school?
Oh, they'll come, Sherry. Bound to come. We's the first people to arrive, that's all. Besides, land about here is pretty enough to be a church vestry.
You mean vestibule.
Well, I guess I do if that's the way you pronounce it. And if it means the front end of the church, the beginning. I'm meaning to say God's here afore us, that's sure. All this is his handiwork. Church building will come later.
What about the school for Madeline and Jim?
Oh, it'll come, Sari. Someday we'll have a town here. Maybe a city even.
Oh, Henry Simmons, for a fact, you're the greatest optimist I've ever seen. Where others see a puddle or a bird bath, you see the ocean. Where others see a blueberry bush, you can see a forest. Maybe it's better that way than t'other.
Sure it is, Sari. Just look at this wide open rangeland, the whole sweep of it, and fill the picture in for yourself.
All I see is land, far as I can look. Pretty enough with rocks and brush, but...
Don't you see the cattle and wheat and your church steeples and loads of things?
Not yet, I don't. Only wilderness. Same as since when we started.
Then I'd better start filling in that picture. I'll unload my tools right now. This afternoon I'll begin on the sod house. Temporary, mind you. But you just start watching and waiting and dreaming.
Watching and waiting and dreaming and working. These are the things that go into the building of a home and a nation. Oh, material things, too. Brick and wood and mortar, land and taxes. For the true American is a realist. The hard-headed Yank, they called him in the early days. But he's a realist in a good way. It's his head that's hard, not his heart. His heart has always been pliant enough to stretch out and embrace the needs and the dreams of the world. And herein lies another source of our strength as a nation. From the days of the Mayflower down to today or yesterday or the day before, when Tony DeLuca and Einar Jensen got their final nationalization papers, we have drawn strength from the solid stock of the old countries, from those who had the courage and the will to seek to share our way of life, our freedoms with us. And so they have thrown in their lots with ours. Our songs of earlier days evoke different memories in them, and we're the richer, for we are co-heirs with them of their strengths and their hopes and their prayers and their dreams.
My land was the Westland, my home was on a hill. I never think of my land, but it makes my heart to thrill. I never smell the west wind that blows the golden skies, but old desire is in my feet, and dreams are in my eyes. My home crowned the highland, it had a stately grace. I never think of my land, but I see my mother's face. I never smell the west wind that blows the silver ships, but old delight is in my heart, and youth is on my lips. My land was a highland, my house was near the skies. I never think of my land, but a light is in my eyes. I never smell the west wind that blows the sun or rain, but I am at my mother's knee, a little lad again.
Someone has said that memory sifts the sands of recollection and leaves you only the gold. It's odd, and it's strangely comforting that that's true. I remembered a little house on J Street in Salt Lake City, the house where I was born. I took my husband there a few weeks ago, and we drove up and down the street until we found the right address. There it is, I burst out excitedly. Yes, he said, just like you said. But how do you remember? You were only 4. How do we remember? Why is it that our thoughts go tumbling back at the touch of some half-forgotten thing to the first home we've known? The smell of new bread baking in the kitchen, and the taste of fresh strawberries warm, picked in the sun. The sound of rain on the roof, and wind in the shutters. And oh, that clean, sweet smell of the first lilacs of the spring. and the pure joy of surprise on your mother's face when you remembered her birthday. And the striped candy canes sticking out of the socks hanging on the fireplace at Christmas. And the dime you got for the tooth placed under your pillow, your first tooth that you were courageous enough to pull out by yourself after you were told that by and by you'd get another. Oh, yes. Yes, these two are home. These memories that drift back today of our yesterdays. Memories you unravel lovingly like a reel of film run backwards to share in your own home with your own family, those you love.
Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Then I would not exchange my home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, where the deer and the antelope play, seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day.
Yes, this is the greatest source of strength to the American, his home. And to keep his home intact, no distance is too great to travel.
Dateline, Budapest, October 27. The fourth day of the uprising. This morning, a little before noon, I stood in a crowd that had gathered in Parliament Square to protest the presence of Russian troops in the city. Soviet tanks drawn up in front of the government building suddenly opened fire on the mass of unarmed people, killing and wounding hundreds. Now, 4 hours later, I'm climbing the back stairs of a gutted apartment building on Potofi Street with two freedom fighters. A thick-set man of about 30 who has a rifle slung over his shoulder and carries a wine bottle filled with benzene. And a 17-year-old girl wearing a red, white, and green armband that is stained with blood.
Which way?
One more flight up. Our rooms are on the third floor.
It's getting dark, mister.
Yeah, I know.
How would you photograph if it's dark?
Just open the lens a little wider. When your benzene explodes, I'll get some light from that, too.
You ever seen a tank hit with benzene flash?
No, but I've seen them afterwards.
In here.
Where did your father store the nitro?
I got it. In a hat box.
How's it packed?
Wrapped in cotton.
Don't try to take it out. Bring the hat box. This gives a good view.
What was her father doing with a bottle of nitroglycerin in the house?
Waiting for the revolt, I suppose.
Was she with him this morning in the square when...
Yeah, standing next to him. That's his armband she's wearing.
Oh, yeah.
You want me to open this and show you the bottle?
No, we take it back to the colonel. How much is there?
1/5 of a liter.
Tank's turned into the street 2 blocks up.
Yes.
Coming this way?
No, not yet. Just sitting there, making up its mind.
Don't those tigers usually travel in pairs?
Sometimes with a scout car, but not always.
I wish it would come this way.
This one seems to be alone.
Look! It's starting to turn.
Yes.
Looks like you're going to get your wish.
Here, hold my rifle.
Yes.
And you, sir, this bottle of benzene while I twist my handkerchief into a big... So. Now, stuff it into the neck and soak it thoroughly.
It's crossing the intersection. Still coming.
Everyone down away from the window.
Can you fix it so I'll get a picture?
I can fix it. In a few moments, the tank will pass directly below us. Now, do you have matches?
A lighter.
Get it out. When I say ready, touch it to this wick. As I toss the bottle through the window, stand up and train your camera on the tank below. The bottle will smash against it, and the benzene will ignite. You will have a fine picture.
What about the men inside?
They'll be climbing out the top one at a time. So, child.
Yes?
Be ready to hand me the rifle.
I will.
So, one last look. Almost here. Ready? The lighter.
Yeah.
Good. Catches. Is your camera ready?
All set.
Nearer. Be ready to stand up.
Yeah.
And now.
Right on the button.
The rifle.
Here.
The whole tank's on fire.
Did you get your picture?
Sure.
The hatch is opening.
Get away from the window, child.
Here comes the first one.
Stay down.
You miss him?
I don't know. It dropped back through the hatch.
Well, don't show too much of yourself. He might have seen the gun flash.
No. I think I hit him. Someone's moving around in there.
He's hit.
Keep down. Where'd they get you?
The chest. Across the...
Is it bad?
He's gone. Stay back from the window. His rifle fell into the street. We better get out of here. I start to crawl toward the doorway leading to the back stairs. The room is nearly dark now. The girl has stopped crying. I look around expecting to see her behind me. She is kneeling on the floor, reaching into the open hat box. Before I can stop her, she walks to the window holding the small bottle and raises her arm. There is a burst of gunfire from the street below. The girl totters, then steadies herself and climbs onto the sill. A second burst shakes her body. She slumps forward, still clutching the bottle, and drops into space. The street grows quiet now. There will be 1 less Soviet tank and 2 less freedom fighters to take part in the Battle of Budapest tomorrow. I glance about me. These 4 rooms were a home, and a young girl has died defending them. Bless this place, I say. Bless this house.
Bless this house, O Lord, we pray. Make it safe by night and day. Bless these walls so firm and stout, keeping want and trouble out. Bless the roof and chimney star, let thy peace lie over all.
since, O Lord, it is from thee come all holy desires, all right counsels, and all just works, we pray thee to grant unto thy servants that peace which the world cannot give. Stimulate our hearts, O Lord, to keep faithfully thy commandments, to remember that we are judged as a nation as we accept our responsibilities as individuals, that the least of our acts is of the greatest importance to thee. And when in justice and honor we must fight for the rights so freely given us by you, O Lord, remind us that as a family that prays together, stays together, so the nation at prayer is a nation at peace.
More things are wrought by prayer than this world dreams of.
From Hollywood, on its 10th birthday, Family Theater has presented Loretta Young, Joe Stafford, John Charles Thomas, Marina Cochetts, and James Alexander in The Treasury of Holmes. In our cast were Gene Bates, Ralph Moody, Lou Krugman, Ann Whitfield, and Barney Phillips. Music was composed and conducted by Harry Zimmerman. For 10 years, this series of Family Theater broadcasts has been made possible by the thousands of you who feel the need for this type of program, by the Mutual Network, which has responded to this need, and by the hundreds of stars of stage, screen, and radio who give so unselfishly of their time and talent to appear on our Family Theater stage. To them and to you, our humble thanks. This is Tony Lafrano expressing the wish of Family Theater that the blessing of God may be upon you and your home, and inviting you to be with us next week at this same time when Family Theater will present Never Let the Sun Go Down, starring Regis Toomey. Gene Lockhart will be your host. Join us, won't you? Family Theater is broadcast throughout the world and originates in the Hollywood studios of the world's largest network. This is Mutual, the radio network for all America.